Hello, today we will start a new topic, that is precision machining. You must have already heard about the term, that precision machining. The term precision machining has emerged due to use of diverse materials, particularly in the field of automobile parts and aerospace industries, and also due to requirement to produce very complex part, as you know, with geometries which are very complex, and that cannot be done by conventional machining process. So in this lecture we will discuss about the various precision machining process that is used in advanced manufacturing. We will discuss about briefly about the history of the machining process, the advanced machining process, and also about the need of the precision machining and why precision machining is required. So now we will briefly study about the history of precision machining. Okay, so first the term precision engineering, we will see about the term precision engineering. So precision engineering was first published in January 1979. Okay, since 1986 it has also been known to many readers as the Journal of American Society of Precision Engineering. And now with effect from 2000 it assumes a new look, proudly proclaiming itself as the Journal of International Society of Precision Engineering and Nanotechnology. Okay, so this is something about the term precision engineering. Okay, now we will study about the history of the machining process. So point number 1, mankind used bones, sticks and stones as hand tools in the earliest times. That means say about 1 lakh years ago. The most ancient Paleolithic stone tool industry was developed at the Oldowan Valley about 2.6 million years ago by the members of the Homo habilis. The Homo habilis is one of the earlier forms of our own species, that is Homo sapiens, and they contain tools like choppers, burins, etc. So these can be considered as the first forms of machine tool. Now as things proceeded in the Paleolithic age, further technological advances were made, and new types of tools such as nets or bolas were made, and the spear. Okay, now these tools, the nets and the bolas, can be typically hauled around with stones and can be used for hunting animals, okay, for meeting the food requirements of those times. So this followed by the development of spears, thrower, bows and arrows. So this is how historically significant stepping stone towards material removal processes was made. This was followed later on by a series of other developments. Now if we see around say 1 million years ago, the various types of handheld tools from Bronze Age were developed, which are of different shapes and sizes, and men now actually knew how to melt and cast. And then there was this ceremonial giant dark, which was discovered in France in about 1500 BC. This dark was used in France between 1500 and 1300 BC. All the tools that were used up to the 17th century were man-made, and they were used by hands or handheld tools. The first introduction of power tools actually came in 1774, which was basically a type of precision boring machine for engine cylinders. Now the pictures of these tools you can easily find in Wikipedia, in internet. You can see from there. And this was one of the first type of machines, which machine tools which came to be powered by sources of energy, by other alternate forms of energy other than hand, like steam or water. And later on by electricity. Here are some of the other points. Okay, so 23 years later, Henry Maudslay, which made a further advancement in machining when he devised a screw cutting engine lathe. Okay, James Naismith invented the second basic machining tool for shaping and planing. The first universal milling machine was built by J.R. Brown in 1862. In the late 19th century, the grinding machine was introduced, and the grinding process would give a surface finish and a surface tolerance, so that parts could now function more appropriately in assembly of parts. So an advanced form of this process is developed, like the lapping process and the honing process, which is used to produce high quality of surface finish and with very tight tolerances. So this is how the machining process progressed through the ages. So some of the other finer processes points in the history of machining are that in the later part of the 19th and the 20th century, the machine tools became increasingly electrically powered. That is the first point. Secondly, the basic machine tools had further refinements, like multiple point cutters for milling machines were introduced. Okay, these are also used in, you can see in CNC machines, there are multiple point cutters. The third point, the whole machining paradigm was related to the operator's judgment, who by looking at a part and using his skills would set up an operation sequence and use this for machining the workpiece. Okay, so this is widely used in industries. That means the operation solely depends upon the experience of the operator. Okay, now the accuracy of such a product would depend only on the operator. Okay, on his experience, on working on the tool, on working on the workpiece. Fourth point, the introduction of NC in 1953 means numerical control, lead to computer numerical control and direct numerical control. So CNC machines came in the market during the 1950s, okay, which made machining at ease. Present capabilities of these tooling systems have enormously increased due to development of electronic controls and computers, and present capabilities enable complex shapes to be produced with finishing accuracy of up to 1 microns, of close to plus minus 1 microns. And they also have a capability of producing a number of complex parts, okay, with very close tolerances and finish, which makes these NC machines largely useful in the industrial applications. So now why do you need precision machining processes? With the development of technology, or with technological development, more and more challenging problems are faced by the scientists and technologists in the field of manufacturing. Okay, so the difficulty in adopting the traditional manufacturing process can be attributed due to why traditional manufacturing process cannot be used, because firstly, that new materials have low machinability. number 2 point, that due to the dimension and accuracy requirements, and number 3, due to a higher production rate and economy. So the new materials and alloys that have been developed for specific uses possess very low machinability. Producing complex geometries in such materials become extremely difficult with the conventional methods. Also, sometimes the combination of material properties and the job dimensions is such that the use of traditional process becomes impossible. Examples are while machining complicated parts like the turbine blade made of super alloys, and also for producing holes and slots in materials such as glass and semiconductors. At times it becomes difficult because of the dimensional complications. So drilling a non-circular hole or a micro hole becomes problematic if the traditional process are used. Also, because due to the requirement of higher production rate and economic requirements, also may demand the use of unconventional machining process or the precision machining process. So to tackle such difficult jobs, we have to take different approaches. Firstly, like the modification of the traditional processes, and secondly, with the development of new processes. So new processes, unconventional processes are developed keeping in view these above requirements. Above requirements means that I have discussed just now. So here you see number 1 point, the need. In modern machining practice, harder, stronger and tougher materials that are more difficult to cut are used. So processes are independent. Okay, second point, non-conventional machining processes are very handy as an alternative to conventional domain, which could handle shape complexity, surface integrity and miniaturization requirement. So non-conventional machining process, why they were developed? Because of mainly due to two industries, as I have said earlier. What are these two? The automobile industry and the aerospace industry. Okay, because of a number of parts that are required, that have and stringent engineering requirements have to be made for these parts, which are more tougher, harder, okay, and having a complex shape. So a large amount of money was invested in the research in these domains, in the field of material science and engineering, for developing such materials, and also machining. Point number 3. Okay, hybrid machining made use of the combined enhanced advantages of two or more participating processes. Okay, sometimes what we use more than one form of energy for machining. Okay, we use mechanical packets or thermal packets of energy. We use photons or thermal energy or quantum of energy. These are known as thermal packets. Okay, when there are a series of highly complex shapes that are to be machined. So as a corollary to it, the domain of micro machining has emerged because of the change of capabilities, and now we can go for more smaller shapes, and we will also be able to give a better surface finish at those sizes. So the domain of micro machining engineering evolved with this. where a lot of parts, as you know, of the size of less than a sub-millimeter could now be machined. So as you can see, the recent application of micro machining include silicon glass micro machining, excimer lasers, and photolithography. So if we really put together some of the modern forms of machines and historically look back, we started with precision grinders, okay, with an accuracy level of you say 1 micron, plus minus 1 micron of surface finish that can be measured using such kind of tools like laser instruments and optical fibers. So what we do, we try to correlate the topography of a surface with respect to the signal that was generated. Next point, future trends in micro machining include laser and electron beam lithography and super high precision grinding, lapping and polishing machines. So these are some of the future machines which are to be used for measurements of high precision. For measurements, high precision laser beam based scanners are used for measuring surface finish. So these machines, these laser beam scanners, they were able to detect the surface roughness based on signals generated at a say sub-micron level. And next point, very important, that another trend which is emerging in non-conventional machining is nano machining, which is a very recent trend in these processes where the atoms or molecules can be removed instead of chips, as we remove in conventional machines. So the term nano machining, it came into being during the early 20th century, and this was termed by Taniguchi to cover the miniaturization of components. The miniaturization of components, and this would typically mean that achievement of tolerances in the range of sub-micron level to that of individual atoms or molecules. That is between 100 nanometers to 0.1 nanometers, or as you know, about 1 angstrom or 1 atomic spacing. So this scientist Taniguchi, he mapped the various machining accuracies, the various accuracies of various machining processes way back in the early 1980s, in which actually in the y-axis it shows the various machining accuracies in micrometer scale. Okay, in the y-axis it shows the machining accuracies, and in the x-axis it shows the number of years, okay, as machining has progressed. So he plotted this graph, and we see that accuracy from 100 microns to 1 microns typically come within the normal machining range. Okay, from here you say 100 microns to 1 micron. Here it comes within the normal machining range, which include machines like turning, okay, grinding, CNC milling centers, and also lapping, honing and boring machines, boring and grinding mechanisms. Then we come to the precision machining domain, which covers from 1 micron, as you can see over here, to 0.1 microns. Okay, so this is a precision machining. So this range 1 micron to 0.1 micron, okay, which includes processes like optical lens grinding, okay, precision grinding, super finishing, diamond grinding, turning, high precision mask aligners, turning and milling machines, etc. And then we come to ultra precision machining, which covers from about 0.1 micron to about say 1 nanometer, and even beyond that of 1 nanometer. So the processes that cover in this ultra precision machining are the ion beam machining, X-ray lithography, electron beam machining, and these processes, as you see, they are able to produce accuracies almost at the level of atomic lattice separation level, okay, at the atomic level. And that is how highly accurate the machining strategy can be in this particular kind of material. And even then we can go for more precision processes where the level of accuracy is up to 1 atomic level, okay, up to 1 atom thick. So with this I complete the lecture on precision machining. Okay, so now I think you will be able to say about the history of precision machining and why we need precision machining and the development of precision machining over the years. Thank you.